Well, hello, you dear ones, you glorious people. It is I, your favorite oracle named Whimsy, not to be confused with any other oracles named Whimsy. Anyway, how is everyone? As you can see, I am in my kitchen surrounded by my magic. I always like to work in the kitchen. This is also where I keep my herbs. Yes, you can see I have well over 300 herbs. You can see the bins here. There's where I do some growing, some research. I know you guys love my kitchen. You'll be very proud. I did dishes today. Wash the dishes. You guys had a lot of great questions for the month of October. And gosh darn it, I would be a terrible oracle if I did not do my best to answer all of your questions about what's ahead for the month of October. And so I thought it would be nice if we could get back to the good old days. I got my scarf, I got my glasses. Let's do the Empath prayer, and one by one, let's try and conquer every single question that you have for me for the month of October. Let's do it. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Let's go in. Okay, so let's look at the government shutdown first and foremost. I actually got a really good energy for the budget and for the shutdown. For starters, it presents as the Empress, which I think is amazing. The Empress is a card that denotes wealth, abundance, creativity. I also associate it with Gaia. It could be that it has an environmental or an earth aspect to it. So when we're looking at the government shutdown, it's actually a really positive card. Opposition to the budget, taking the sword away and walking away, hopes and fears that there will not be new growth. And then you have this beautiful Fool card coming in, and the Fool is associated with just going for it or trusting that things are going to be okay. The other thing that comes up with the government shutdown, if you're just, I'm doing 4-card blitzes. You can see here the Four of Wands moving in with the Empress. A Four of Wands has to do with like new beginnings. Four of Wands is associated also with you just have 4 walls or a new foundation. Again, what's interesting about this budget that's coming up for 2023, 24 and beyond is it has this new beginning. It almost looks like a new creative and pro-environmental process that we're entering into in terms of just the economy. I know a lot of people are complaining because we only want to put out electric cars in 2030, but you have to understand that nobody will buy American cars after 2030 because of the Paris Accords and the fact that everybody's moving away from oil. So if you're an economy that's dependent on oil, it's going to be a problem going forward. Now, some people have argued it's not fair that a lot of the future green contracts are going to Texas. But unfortunately, that does appear to be the future of Texas, and that's because the wealthy billionaires of Texas took their money and diversified their portfolio because they saw where the government was headed, and you guessed it, wind up with those new green contracts. And that's why we see the new greening of Texas over the next 25 and 30 years. They took their money, diversified, and then said, hey, we're ready to go, give us those government contracts. So again, new beginnings, Four of Wands, a new time of the Empress, and the opposition really walking away. They say Gates is the troubled child. Here, a clarification of the Hanged Man. happens very, very quickly, and we see another man coming in here. This is McCarthy's card. You know, I feel like McCarthy either steps down willy-nilly. He either is asked to leave, or it's almost like Kevin McCarthy says, I cannot do this. And it may be a situation where, look at this. I swear, when I put myself in the shoes of Kevin McCarthy, I sometimes feel like I could be assassinated or something like that. It's a very tense situation, and I just don't know if Kevin McCarthy has much of a future, particularly when you have cards like the Knight of Pentacles going nowhere. The fact that he's in a Nine of Wands state, which is feeling cornered. Okay, but I do think it's going to be resolved, and we could see a new Speaker of the House as a result of this. The next question people had for me is they wanted to know about the DOJ. There's been some investigations going on into various different agencies that may have been compromised. For example, there was a huge break-in, a Chinese hacking that took place in the State Department in May. If you recall the previous remote views that I had done, I had gone into accessing information on the State Department and the fact that they had been hacked by the Chinese, possibly malware had been put in by some of the cleaning crew. It looks like the investigation on that has just started to become public. There was a hacking that took place in May. However, based on the remotes, it looks like there have been problems long before that. Let's take a look at those investigations. If you haven't had a chance to like and subscribe to my channel, I would really love it. And of course, memberships also are really great in terms of helping the channel. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so in terms of the future investigations that are happening at the DOJ, it does feel like there are networks within our intelligence agencies that are almost like they're trying to sabotage what is best for the United States. For example, working with Russia and not understanding that they're working for the enemy. Again, same thing, a new beginning starting to happen in the DOJ and taking the weapons away from the enemies who have, guessed it, naughty relationships, the devil. The other thing is, it's all about following the money. People had asked me if I could take a look at the investigations that are taking place into dark money and what we can do about Citizens United. They're saying here very clearly in the cards that there is a difference between Citizens United and somebody being bribed or compromised, whether it's somebody from the FBI or it's somebody that's inside Congress. We just had a Democrat, I believe, from the Senate that had to step down. Here we have, again, these unholy alliances that are really putting members of Congress in a very difficult situation, and possibly government employees. If a government employee is not paid well and then they're offered, say, $250,000 to get information, the temptation is very real because of complaints about what government employees are being paid. There's a patience card over an issue of addiction. So the question is, when you're compromising people, when you're trying to get information or access information, and say from the State Department or somewhere else, and you're paying people, or you're trying to get information from a member of Congress, you're looking at compromising people that may be vulnerable. Say they have a sex addiction or a drug addiction or a gambling addiction. An example would be somebody like Rudy Giuliani, right? He was addicted to all kinds of things, and it caused him to go into a bankruptcy, right? And then he wound up really spiraling out. So you have new beginnings and new investigations into persons who could have been compromised because maybe they got into financial problems, drinking problems. Seven of Cups is a drinking problem, right? And then again here, sex addictions, a new beginning over those investigations. Temperance, again, would indicate possible addiction. So the investigation was into people that had been compromised. Maybe they wound up in financial problems, who were members of the government, whether it was in Congress or employees, and the reason was because they were in financial trouble, often because of some type of an addiction. And it's that addiction that made them vulnerable to basically selling out. Also, they're saying that people that may not even be known in the public could be arrested and charged as they begin to investigate some of these agencies. You can see here, prison awaits many. All right, let's look at Citizens United, and people wanted to know if Citizens United was going to be removed or if we're stuck with it. A lot of people feel that this love of money and people doing anything they can to get a hold of money is part of what the problem is in the United States. I feel like Citizens United is not going to save people, that there are ways that the DOJ and the feds are going to go after these people. A new beginning going after the thief. This is the thief's card. In cases of the government, I refer to the Hierophant as the Constitution. So you can see the Constitution is supreme. Things happening very, very quickly. I really feel, for whatever reason, that despite Citizens United, no man is above the law. And if you've taken a bribe, like in the case of Justice Thomas, it's still illegal. A government employee cannot take a bribe. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Supreme Court judge or a clerk. If you're receiving a government paycheck, you'll still be held accountable. And that's what the DOJ is saying. And for that reason, even Justice Thomas is probably under criminal investigation, along with anybody else in the Supreme Court that's taking bribes. Well, as many of you know, Feinstein has passed away. She had quite a prestigious reputation in the Senate. She was very active for many, many years, very active in terms of human rights, pushing improved work conditions for women, children, LGBTQ community, etc. Let's see who is going to be replacing Feinstein. Within 30 days, it's a very good seat. You know, this situation will be resolved, and it will be resolved in a very good way. You have a Ten of Pentacles, which is a legacy. So whoever takes it is somebody that is good for the party. You can see here the contract comes to them. There's a sense of loss here due to losing Feinstein's seat. But you can see an Ace of Wands moving in, which is success, entrepreneurship. They could go with somebody in Congress. For example, they could give the position to Katie Porter, or they could give the position to some other person that could be running. It feels to me like the position could be given to a woman, that it's not going to be given to a man. You can see here within the family an offer given. They go back to the family. It could have been someone that's somehow associated. The contract falls with the Queen of Wands. Hopes and fears the decision, probably from the governor. And then you can see here within 30 days, the High Priestess comes in. I think it'll be taken by a woman. I could be wrong, but the cards indicate that the position will be filled by a woman. Okay, man, we're getting a lot done. Woohoo! All right, you guys asked about RFK Jr. Evidently, he is thinking about a bid for the presidency, a third party. People are worried that that's going to cost us the election. No, I don't think so. I think it's independents that voted for Trump. Conspiracy theorists, usually white males who are conspiracy theorists, libertarians, for example, He was thinking of running under the independent or libertarian, both of which would probably shave off independents from the Republican Party, and it would probably be the nail in the coffin of the Republican Party. But let's take a look and see what his future is. RFK Jr. running for president. I just am not feeling it, but I could be wrong. He's made a lot of strange statements. He's made anti-Semitic statements. He's put himself in a bind. So what they're saying is that he could be going to Elon Musk or wealthy people to try and fund him who are traditionally libertarians. This could indicate the announcement that he's running. Here is a race, literally. We've talked about Six of Wands going into battle, a desire for aid. But you see this Eight of Swords here? It's like he's talked himself into a potentially bad situation. And his future, no, he does not become the president. Inverted high, this is the president's card. One of the main reasons was because of who he was going to get money from. He's going to have to go to other libertarians like Bill Maher and Elon Musk. And then he's going to have to explain some of his anti-Semitic rantings, and it could cost him. I think he talked himself potentially into not being able to win, and here again. And it also possibly harms him in terms of raising money for his campaign. If he got 3%, I would say 2 out of 3 of the votes are people that would not have voted for Biden anyway. These tend to be libertarian types. So let me just check Biden's cards quickly for 2024 because people were worried. But I just want to check real fast before we close today. No, Biden gets elected. Takes the sword away from his enemies, a new beginning, hopes and fears that the nation is confused. The final outcome, Page of Pentacles, he gets the job. Biden will be reelected. Based on these cards, he will easily be reelected. If anything, RFK Jr. would probably help him. Okay, 2 more questions. We have 2 more questions. The first question had to do with the economy in the month of October. People are worried that the stock market is going to crash. I guess Dr. Michael Burry, is that his name? He was worried that the stock market's going to crash. And let's take a look. Let's take a look. I'm curious. No. 6 of Pentacles. Looks like the government is doing something that will help stabilize the feds. You can see here probably pumping money into the economy. Hopes and fears here, successful. And then taking the weapon away. The clarification over whether or not third quarter would have a bad, hiring was down, but the problem is that hiring was down in August. Everybody got all freaked out, but now we're under hired, and now they have to go. There's all this massive hiring. There's a fear that we will not have enough employees for Christmas. You have this kind of like now a feeling like they almost underemployed. No, I don't see a crash. A crash would have come as a tower. All right, we're going to do one more on the weather. I just want to see how the weather is doing in October, and then we'll be done. Awesome. terrible. I guess there was flooding in New York. Hope everybody's okay over in New York. Wow. Let's take a look. Strong decisions being made about global warming. You know, strong decisions. You can see this Queen of Wands. That's like territory cards, aggressive, protection. Four of Pentacles would be about an economic concerns about the weather. You know, the bad weather. You know how much money we lose to bad weather? I think the Army Corps, I keep seeing the military coming in and building things like this is the military. Slow and steady wins the race. Hopes and fears that, chaos, not enough will be done. 10 of Cups is over the issues of the economic incentive to invest in things like levies, etc. A 10 of Cups moving in. I really feel this new budget that's being approved, particularly with that Empress coming in and that Four of Wands, which is my spring card, a new beginning. I just feel like Congress and new industry are moving towards the new green economy. It's so exciting between now and spring, summer of 2024 when you see these massive overhaul of the economy and the new industry, and to see this new generation of business people that want to move forward. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out for this fun kitchen table tarot. If you need to get in for a reading, you can find the information below, or you can just text me. My phone number and information is below, and we can do it that way. There's something else I needed to say? I can't remember. Hopefully it wasn't too important. Anyway, be sure and share, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.